I shouldn't be this close to him. Not to my father's perfect, untouchable Butler. Not to the man whose very presence makes my pulse go wild. And yet, here I was, breath caught, chest almost brushing his as we leaned over the same damn sheet of paper. Carlisle smelled like something expensive and dangerous, all sharp spice and cold air, and when I turned my head, his mouth was right there. Too close. Close enough that if I tilted forward an inch, I'd taste him. His eyes locked on mine, golden, unblinking, a little too intense. For a second, neither of us moved. My heart was hammering so hard it hurt, and I swear he could hear it. "Jasper," he breathed, like saying my name cost him something. His gaze flicked down, slow, deliberate, to my lips. Heat roared through me. My fingers curled on the desk just to stop myself from grabbing him, from pulling him down and ending the space between us. I leaned closer anyway, reckless, drunk on him. The air between us burned. His lips parted. God, he was going to kiss me. I could feel it. And then he pulled back, just enough to hurt, just enough to make me ache. "You should go to bed," he said, smooth, steady, like he hadn't just nearly ruined me with a single look. But the way his hand trembled as he adjusted his gloves told me everything. He wanted it too. Flashback. I've known Carlisle for as long as I've known my own name. He was always there, silent, precise, perfect in his suit, like another piece of furniture in the house. Except he wasn't furniture. He was Carlisle. When I was little, I used to tug at his gloves and beg him to play soldiers with me. And he did sometimes. Never with a smile. Never like my father would have. But with this quiet patience that made me feel seen. I remember sitting on his shoulders in the garden once, tiny hands buried in his perfect blonde hair, while he walked me around like I was royalty. He didn't laugh. He never laughed. But I swear I caught the ghost of something soft at the corner of his mouth that day. Then I grew up. Or at least I tried. My father shipped me off to boarding school when I was 14. Some overpriced place across the country where sons of rich men were molded into colder, sharper versions of themselves. I hated it. But I didn't argue. Because I knew what it meant. My father wanted me out of the way. He wanted me prepared to inherit. And my mother wasn't there to argue otherwise. She died when I was too small to remember her. Nothing but a blurred photograph and a name on a gravestone. For years, Carlisle was just a memory. A blur of white gloves and golden eyes. Someone my classmates thought I invented when I told them my father's butler could probably kill a man with a teaspoon. I used to laugh it off, but secretly. I missed him. And now I'm back. 19, taller, sharper, supposedly ready to learn the business at my father's side. And Carlisle. Carlisle is still here, but he's not the same, or maybe I'm not. Because the man I remembered as cold and distant is suddenly impossible. Polished to perfection. His every move deliberate. His voice low, steady, commanding in ways that make my stomach twist. The air around him feels different, charged, heavy, like it's trying to pull me closer. At night, it's worse. I dream of him. Too hot, too vivid. Dreams where his hands grip my shoulders, where his mouth finds mine in the dark, where I wake up sweating, guilty, aching. Sometimes I swear I see him at the edge of my bed, a tall shadow watching me. When I blink, he's gone. But the feeling lingers, like he's been there all along. I tell myself it's wrong. He's older, so much older. A man like him, refined, untouchable, beautiful, would never want someone like me. I'm just a kid, his employer's son, nothing more. And yet every time his eyes linger a second too long, every time his gloved hand brushes mine, every time his voice dips when he says my name, I can't help it. I want him. I crave him. And that craving is starting to eat me alive. Flashback ends. The next day. The study was warm with firelight, but I couldn't focus on the numbers sprawled across the desk. Carlyle stood behind me, silent as always, but his presence pressed against my skin like a weight I couldn't shake. Every time he leaned in to correct my notes, his sleeve brushed mine, and the scent of him, clean, sharp, intoxicating, filled my lungs until I thought I'd choke on it. It had been days of this. Weeks, maybe. Him hovering close, pretending not to notice the way my pulse jumped whenever he touched me. Acting like nothing was happening while I was going crazy inside. Finally, I couldn't stand it anymore. I shoved the ledger aside and turned, my chair scraping the floor. "Quit pretending," I snapped, my voice raw. He straightened, golden eyes, cutting down to me, unreadable. "Pretending what? That you don't want me." The words hit the air like shattering glass. For a heartbeat, the only sound was the crackle of the fire. Then his jaw tightened. "Jasper." But I was already on my feet, reckless, moving into his space. My chest brushed his, my hands fisted in the front of his vest, dragging him down, daring him to push me away. "Don't say my name like that," I whispered, my mouth inches from his. "Like you're fighting yourself." His breath ghosted over my lips. His gloved hands rose, not to pull me closer, but to grip my arms, holding me in place with a strength that made my heart slam. Cold fingers digging into my skin. A restraint that was half a warning, half a promise. "You don't understand what you're doing," he said, voice low, trembling with control. His eyes burned. Not gold anymore, but darker, rimmed with red. Desire and danger all tangled together. One more step and I won't be able to stop. I leaned up anyway, reckless, desperate, my lips brushing his. Just a ghost of a touch, enough to taste the edge of something forbidden. His hands tightened, iron around me. He sucked in a sharp breath like it hurt to hold back. "You think this is a game?" he murmured, voice breaking. "But if I give in, it won't be a kiss, Jasper. It will be the end of you." He pushed me back, not roughly, but firmly. Like if he didn't create space right then, he'd lose every shred of control. I staggered, chest heaving, lips tingling from that almost kiss. His gaze lingered, hungry and furious, before he turned away sharply, gloved hands trembling as he adjusted his cuffs. "Go to bed," he said, clipped, like the words were the only shield he had left. "Before you ruin us both." But I could still feel it. The heat of his body against mine. The restraint that nearly broke. The truth neither of us could deny. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. Again. The house was too big, too quiet, like it was holding its breath, and the silence pressed on my ears until I couldn't take it anymore. I pulled on a hoodie, slipped out of my room, and let my feet carry me into the gardens. The night air was sharp, damp with the scent of roses and stone. The moon was full, washing everything silver. Usually I liked the gardens at night. It felt like the one place in this estate that didn't belong to my father. But tonight, something felt wrong. I heard it then. A sound that didn't belong. Not wind, not animals. Something low, wet, rhythmic. Like someone drinking too fast, choking and swallowing all at once. I followed it. I don't know why. Some stupid mix of curiosity and dread. I rounded the fountain and froze. Carlyle was there. My father's perfect butler, the man who never so much as loosened his tie, had someone pinned against the marble column. His hand clamped around the man's throat, holding him upright like a doll. And his mouth, God, his mouth was pressed to the stranger's neck. Not kissing. Not anything I could explain away. His lips parted, jaw moving. And then I saw it. The gleam of fangs sliding into skin. Blood welled up, thick and dark, running down the man's collar. And Carlyle drank. Slow. Controlled. Like it was the only thing keeping him alive. My stomach lurched. My chest locked. I couldn't scream, couldn't breathe. My body screamed danger in every cell, but I couldn't look away. The man sagged against him, weak, barely conscious. Carlyle's hand was gentle as he fed, steadying him, not letting him fall. His perfect suit was rumpled, hair loose, eyes closed in something that looked too much like relief. I made a sound, small, strangled, and his eyes snapped open. Not gold, not soft, red, burning, raw, animal. His mouth dripped with blood, his fangs still sunk deep. And then he said it. My name. Jasper. Not smooth, not polished. Rough, jagged, like he was ripping it out of himself. For the first time in my life, Carlyle looked like a monster. And for the first time in my life, I couldn't stop staring. I ran. At least, I tried. My legs turned, but I didn't get 2 steps before he was there, in front of me, blocking me. Too fast. Impossible. My back slammed against the cold stone of the garden wall. His hand hit my chest, not crushing, but strong enough that I knew I wasn't moving unless he let me. Up close, he was worse. His eyes glowed red, ringed with black. His lips glistened with blood. His breath was cold, too cold, brushing my cheek as he leaned close. You should fear me. His voice was low, cracking at the edges, vibrating through my ribs. And I did. Every nerve screamed with it. My heart pounded so loud I swore he could hear it. My hands trembled at my sides, sweat slicking my palms. But under the fear was something else. Something hotter. Stronger. I couldn't stop looking at him. At the fangs, sharp and gleaming. At the blood sliding over that perfect mouth. At the way he trembled, like he was holding himself together by a thread. I should have shoved him away, screamed, begged. Instead, my voice broke out, hoarse, shaky, stupid. You're not human. His hand slackened, his jaw clenched, and then his face shifted. Not the hunger, not the predator, but something worse. Shame. He stepped back slowly, like forcing himself to give me space cost him everything. He wiped his mouth with the back of his glove, smearing blood across white fabric. His eyes flickered, red fading to gold, but the damage was done. No, he whispered, his voice tight. And you were never meant to see this. I pressed against the wall, chest heaving, mind spinning. And for the first time in 19 years, Carlyle didn't look like he was in control. He looked like a man about to break. A while later. I didn't sleep, not even close. I lay in bed, sheets twisted around my legs, staring at the ceiling while my mind replayed everything on a loop. The blood, the fangs, the red eyes, the way he pinned me without effort. The sound of my name torn from his throat like it burned. I should have been sick. Should have locked my door, prayed for daylight, begged my father to explain what the hell his butler really was. But none of that happened. Instead, I burned. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw him, felt him. Carlyle's body against mine, iron strong and cold, caging me in. His mouth at my throat, not just drinking, not just feeding, but claiming. And the way it made my stomach clench. The way heat flooded through me in waves. Left me panting in the dark like I was losing my mind. I dreamed of him. Too vivid. Dreams where he pushed me against the wall again. Only this time his mouth wasn't at a stranger's throat. It was at mine. Dreams where I didn't resist. Didn't run. But tilted my head back and let him sink his teeth in. Let him take everything he wanted. I woke up sweating, trembling, heart racing like I'd actually been there. My sheets damp, my body aching with want I couldn't admit. Not even to myself. By morning, I told myself it would fade. That it was shock, adrenaline, nothing more. But when I saw him standing in the hall, gloves immaculate, posture perfect, eyes back to calm golden, my chest clenched. All I could see was the monster from the garden. All I could feel was how badly I wanted that monster to touch me again. I wasn't afraid of him. Not really. I was obsessed. And that was worse. A few days later, I couldn't keep pretending. Not after everything I'd seen. Not after the way he looked at me. Then turned away like it cost him everything. The library was empty except for him. He stood by the shelves, arranging books like they might hold him together. The firelight turned his hair to gold, but his posture was too rigid, his silence too loud. I shut the door behind me, the sound echoing sharp. He didn't look up. "Why didn't you kill me that night?" I asked. My voice shook, but I didn't care. He froze. Slowly, he turned, eyes gold but burning. "Jasper." "No." I stepped closer, chest tight. "You could have. You should have. I saw you. You had me pinned against that wall and you could have ripped my throat open. So why didn't you?" For a second, nothing. Then his control cracked. In a blur, he was in front of me, hands slamming against the shelves on either side of my head, the impact rattling books to the floor. His eyes glowed crimson, fangs glinting in the firelight. "Because I can't," he snarled, voice raw, trembling with fury or hunger. "Because I want you, and that makes you the one thing I cannot touch." The words shattered something inside me. Before I could think, I grabbed his face, fingers digging into the sharp line of his jaw, and crushed my mouth against his. It was brutal, desperate, teeth clashing. He resisted for a heartbeat, stiff and cold, then broke. He kissed me back like a starving man, centuries of restraint snapping all at once. His mouth devoured mine, his tongue demanding, his grip bruising my arms as though he needed me to keep breathing. His fangs scraped my lip, sharp, dangerous. Pain flashed, then heat as blood welled up. He groaned against me, the sound guttural, primal. And for one terrifying, intoxicating second, he tasted me. The sound he made, low, broken, like ecstasy and agony in one, sent fire straight through me. And then he shoved me away so hard I hit the shelves. Books rained down, but I barely noticed. Carlyle stood there, chest heaving, fists trembling. His mouth was stained red, his eyes glowing like embers. "Never again," he rasped. "Do you hear me?" Never. But the hunger in his eyes betrayed him. And I knew he'd just lied to both of us. The house was never quiet after that. Not really. I heard it everywhere. Soft voices in hallways, servants lowering their tones when I walked past. Master Jasper and the butler, alone again. Strange hours, shadows at windows. They thought I couldn't hear them. They were wrong. The city papers made it worse. Headlines screamed of bodies found in alleys, drained, bloodless. I saw the way the maids crossed themselves when they passed Carlyle. The way the gardener refused to meet his eyes. They all suspected. They all thought the monster wasn't out there in the city. It was right here, in my father's house. And maybe they were right. But every time they whispered monster, my chest burned with defiance. I defended him, even when I wasn't sure. "It isn't him," I snapped more than once whenever I heard them gossiping. "They don't know him like I do." And wasn't that the problem? Because I'd seen him feed. I'd felt his fangs scrape my lip. I'd tasted my own blood on his mouth. And yet, when I closed my eyes, I craved it. At night, I swore I saw him. A figure in the corner of my room, too still, too tall, eyes glinting in the dark. When I blinked, he was gone. But the sheets twisted around my legs like I'd been fighting for air. Doubt gnawed at me. Was he feeding again? Was he the one leaving corpses in the streets? And yet, every morning when I passed him in the hall, hair immaculate, suit flawless, golden eyes soft on me. I ached. My body remembered the feel of his mouth, the weight of his hands. Even if he was a monster, I still wanted him. Maybe because he was a monster. 2 weeks later. The first time I saw them, I thought they were just loiterers, drunks hanging by the gates. But then I looked closer. They were pale. Too pale. Their eyes glinted when the light hit them wrong. They didn't move like men. They watched. Always watching. By the third night, there were more of them. Shadows slipping through the trees. Figures standing at the edge of the grounds. I swore I felt eyes on me every time I crossed a window. I told Carlisle. He didn't deny it. His jaw tightened, his gaze flicking toward the gardens. "A rival coven," he said, voice clipped. "They've followed me here." "Because of what you are," I said. "Because of what I've protected," he corrected, eyes dark on me. His voice was low, strained, like each word weighed a century, years of restraint. "This house, the life I've built here, the illusion that I am anything but a monster." His gaze flicked to me, burning. "And they will use you against me if they can." His voice cracked on that last part, and it hit me like a knife. "You want me to hide?" I said. "I want you safe." I shook my head. My heart hammered, but I couldn't stop. "Then let them try." "I'm not leaving you." His hand moved before his mind caught up. He cupped my face, cool fingers trembling against my skin. My breath hitched, leaning into his touch like I'd been waiting my whole life for it. His lips brushed my temple, feather-light, ghosting lower until his mouth hovered at my throat. His breath was ice on my skin, and my pulse thundered beneath it. "You don't know what I'd do to keep you," he whispered. I shivered, not from fear but from want. My whole body screamed for him to sink his fangs into me. But he pulled back, eyes blazing, fists clenching, as if he'd almost lost himself. And I knew, whatever war was circling us, it had already begun. 3 days later. It happened fast. Too fast. I was crossing the courtyard when they came. 3 of them, pale and grinning, eyes glowing red. They moved like shadows, faster than human, faster than I could follow. One had a blade. Another hissed my name like a curse. I froze. I was dead. And then Carlisle was there. He moved like fire, like lightning. 1 second gone, the next tearing through them with a fury I'd never seen. His fangs bared, his growl shaking the air. The first assassin's throat opened under his teeth, blood spraying. The second he threw against the stone so hard the wall cracked. The third tried to run. Carlisle caught him by the hair and ripped his head back, fangs sinking deep. It was over in heartbeats. The courtyard was slick with what I suppose should be blood. Bodies twisted on the ground. Carlisle stood in the middle of it, chest heaving, suit shredded, eyes blazing red. I should have been horrified. I should have screamed. Instead, I trembled, with need. He turned to me, his mouth dripping, hands shaking. His face was torn between hunger and despair. "This is what I am," he rasped. "This is what you're begging for." I stepped forward, chest heaving, blood pounding in my ears. "Then give it to me." Something broke in him. He grabbed me, pulled me close, and our mouths crashed together, hot, desperate, filthy with want. His kiss was bruising, his tongue claiming, his fangs grazing my lips, my jaw, the hollow of my throat. He didn't pierce, but God, he promised. His hands shook as they held me, like he was afraid to crush me but couldn't let go. My fingers tangled in his blood-stained shirt, pulling him closer, deeper, hungrier. Every fear, every whisper, every danger melted into this. His mouth, his hunger, his claim. And for the first time, I didn't care if it killed me. A month later. The next month felt unreal, like I'd stepped through some invisible doorway into a life I wasn't supposed to have. Days blurred into nights, and nights stretched forever, because Carlisle was mine in a way he had never been before. By day, nothing had changed. He was still the butler. He moved through the estate like a shadow, polished and perfect. He poured my father's brandy, managed the staff, stood a little too straight in the background. But under the surface, under every glance he threw me, every brush of his hand when he passed me a glass of wine, was our secret. It made my skin buzz, made me restless. Because at night, he wasn't just the butler anymore. He was my lover. He carried me out into the night on his back, faster than any car could drive. I'd clutch at his shoulders, laughing breathlessly as the world became a blur of trees and moonlight. My stomach would drop like I was flying, my heart in my throat, and he'd just turn his head enough to smirk, voice steady as if he wasn't even breaking a sweat. "Hold tighter," he'd murmur, and I'd bury my face against the back of his neck, drunk on the speed, the danger, the fact that it was him. Sometimes he'd take me to the cliffs by the sea. We'd sit on the edge, my legs dangling, the waves crashing far below. He'd wrap his arms around me from behind, chin resting on my shoulder, and whisper names of constellations, some so old they didn't even appear in modern books. "I watched them rise the first time," he told me once, voice quiet with memory. "And I thought they'd be eternal. But nothing is. Everything fades." Then his lips brushed my jaw, and I felt eternal anyway. In the library, he'd press me against shelves between dusty books, kissing me breathless until I forgot where I was. In the dining room, his hand would brush mine under the table, and that small secret touch would burn hotter than any kiss. At night, when I woke shaking from nightmares, blood, red eyes, shadows, he'd already be there, sitting silently in the corner, golden eyes glowing faintly, watching over me. Always. And in the moments when he lost his restraint, when his fangs grazed my throat, when he trembled because he wanted more but pulled away, I understood something terrifyingly beautiful. Carlisle wanted me not just with hunger, but with devotion. In 1,000 years, he'd never let himself want like this. And now, I was his undoing. And I was completely, helplessly his. It couldn't stay hidden forever. My father wasn't stupid. He was sharp, ruthless in business, and he'd lived too long in the same house as Carlisle not to notice cracks in the mask. One night, he walked into the study unannounced. I froze, my hand still on Carlisle's wrist, our faces far too close to be explained away. Carlisle's eyes were soft, burning with something he could never show anyone else. The silence stretched until my father's voice cut through it. Quiet, low, heavy. "I trusted you." I'd never heard my father sound like that. Betrayal wrapped in disappointment, sharp as glass. His gaze flicked between us, then locked on Carlisle. "I gave you this place. I kept your secret. When others would have destroyed you, I let you serve under my roof. Because you swore to me, you swore you would protect this family. And this is how you repay me?" I couldn't breathe. I wanted to speak, to defend us, but the words tangled on my tongue. Carlisle didn't move, didn't speak. He bowed his head, shoulders tight, like the weight of centuries pressed down on him. His silence said everything, guilty, and worse, accepting whatever punishment came. My father turned away before I could say anything. "We'll speak tomorrow," he said coldly, to Carlisle, not to me. And just like that, the ground under us began to crack. A few days later. The rival coven didn't wait long. Their message came sharp and clear: deliver Carlisle, or the estate burns. And they meant it. Pale figures lurked by the gates at night, watching, waiting. The staff whispered, fear growing like mold through the halls. That's when Carlyle made his choice. I overheard him and my father in the study. Carlyle's voice was steady, but it shook at the edges. "I will go, or I will die. Whatever keeps him safe, my father demanded. "You've already endangered him." "No," Carlyle said sharply, then softened. "Not from me. Never from me. From them. They will not stop until I'm gone. Use me as the offering. It will end this." And then, quieter, almost breaking, "Just promise me he won't suffer for what I've done." My father didn't answer. He didn't need to. Carlyle was already on his knees. When I found out, I lost it. I stormed after him, grabbing his arm, shoving at his chest. "You can't do this. You can't just sacrifice yourself like you're nothing." His hand came up, cupping my face, his thumb brushing over my cheekbone like he was memorizing me. His eyes were molten gold, flecked with red. "Jasper, I was sworn to your father, but I am bound to you. Don't ever doubt that." I shook my head, tears burning. "Then don't leave me. Please." That was when my father appeared in the doorway, watching. His expression was unreadable, hard, calculating, but with something else under it. He looked at Carlyle for a long time before speaking. "I should have ended you when I had the chance, but I see it now. You'd rather die than let him bleed for you." His gaze shifted to me. Maybe that's the only proof I need. The silence after was thick. Then, finally, he sighed. "Stay. But if you ever hurt him, even once, I'll finish what should have been done centuries ago." It wasn't blessing, not really, but it wasn't banishment either. When Carlyle laced his cold fingers through mine, and my father didn't pull me away, it was enough. 3 years later. The night air tastes different now, sharper, sweeter. Every sound hums through my veins. The rustle of leaves, the whisper of wind, even the faint heartbeat of a rabbit in the garden. My senses are alive in ways a human could never imagine. Every shadow carries a story, every scent a promise, and every movement around me feels like music. And yet, nothing compares to him. Carlyle stands across the room, gold eyes gleaming in the candlelight, hair falling just so, lean body relaxed, but taut with strength. Every line of him is perfection, every movement artful. Even after 1,000 years, even after all the nights of hunger and desire, he still takes my breath, my pulse, or what passes for one now, quivers anyway. I can feel the hunger in me, subtle at first, then rising. Blood calls to me like a distant song, an ache I barely control. It's beautiful, dangerous, intoxicating. My teeth sharpen instinctively, lips part slightly. I could drink, could taste, but tonight I want more. I step toward the mirror on the wall, the silver frame catching candlelight, and I see him. Not Carlyle, not a shadow. Me, beyond beautiful. Golden green eyes that glow faintly in the dim light. Skin flawless. Hair a fiery halo. Fangs peeking from lips curved with a smile that is mine but not. My reflection shimmers with power, hunger, and a freedom I'd never known as a human. I run my tongue over the small bite scars Carlyle left me that first night. Now healed, but reminding me of that fire. It's been 4 months since Carlyle turned me. 4 months since I crossed that line from mortal to immortal, from desire to eternity. And the last 3 years. They've been everything, and nothing I expected. After the night of the rival coven, Carlyle and I left the estate, slipping into the shadows of the world. We traveled, yes, hunted when we needed, survived fights we barely walked away from. We laughed. We loved. I learned what hunger really was, and how to bend it, not be bent by it. Carlyle taught me patience, control, and the small cruelties and pleasures of living centuries without ever growing bored. We built a life together in the hidden places of the world, an abandoned cathedral we claimed as our home, forests no human dared to enter, cities where we blended in like ghosts. Every night was ours, every meal a shared secret, every touch a promise. I learned the thrill of flying silently across rooftops on nights too dark for mortals to see. I learned the softness of mornings curled in his arms, the warmth of skin against skin even if it no longer felt truly alive in the old human sense. And now I am his, and he is mine. Carlisle, gold-eyed and eternal, still as beautiful as the first night I saw him feed, still a monster, but my monster. And I am a creature of the night too, wild, free, and utterly his. I look back at the mirror, at this new me, at the boy I was, swallowed up by desire and fear, and at the man, creature, he's made me. I smile, teeth glinting faintly, and feel him behind me. His hand rests on my shoulder. I lean back into him. He murmurs, voice low, possessive, and gentle. You belong to me. I turn my head just enough to brush my lips against his jaw, and I always will. The night stretches endlessly, full of possibilities, of hunger, of love. The world outside may never understand, may never see the beauty in what we are, but we do. And for 3 years, for eternity, that has been enough. I close my eyes and inhale, smelling the night, tasting the faint iron in the air, feeling Carlisle's warmth against me, and smile. Because I am home, and so are we. The end. Have you ever wanted a vampire boyfriend for yourself? Thanks for watching. Subscribe to become part of our Rainbow Force, and consider joining our membership for early access and exclusive content. Stay wholesome.